This is what I was gonna say this morning. I was gonna live stream, and I was saying that I was reading this book that uh this guy is on acid, and he takes a kitten and takes a bite out of the kitten. So they ask him, yeah, I know. So they ask him, why did you do that? He said, I wanted to experience all that is. And then I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry. So so the fact is, God wants to experience all that is. That's what we're here. Every individual, infinite souls in the universe, experiencing their own unique individual way of what it is, what we are, all that is, ever was, ever will be. We're here to experience it. And then so people misunderstand. They think if they're having painful experience, that they're, like, if someone thinks they're a loser because a lot of bad things have happened to them, and they think God hates them. It's not true. They're not having bad experience because God hates them or it's a punishment. That's the common misconception. When AIDS was going on, evangelists were saying this because God hates sinners and He's punishing them. No, God wants to experience being oppressed, being bullied, being a victim of childhood sexual abuse. God wants to experience all this stuff. And once I was going through crisis and it was in a church, took this pamphlet and said, why is this happening to me? It said, because teacher gives his favorite student the hardest lesson. And I often wondered why the Jewish people were called the chosen people, but they've had the most horrible Holocaust, all throughout history, they've suffered the most. That we think of the pain we go through as punishment or as cruelty, or that God hates us, or that and we go, oh, I'm so sorry, and stuff like that, because and then that's not what it is, really. We're experiencing, because of our own soul, we ourselves, the deepest one parts of us, wants to experience it. And it's not for a cruel reason. We misunderstand and think it's it's cruelty. But it has a higher purpose. And then maybe we're not able to understand it. And then the other thing I've been saying, that you see, if you have an interaction, if you're in a relationship, you see it from the other person's side. If it's a relation, imagine if you're a man, imagine the woman in your life, imagine from her point of view. Now, if the other person is abusive, if someone is perpetrating some injustice or abuse, can you still see it from their point of view? See it as if you can think that they don't think they're doing wrong. They think they're justified. And see if you can imagine what it's like from their point of view. From your point of view, they're not justified. From theirs, it is. So see if you can imagine what it is from their point of view when it's justified, when they're being cruel to you or mean to you. I mean, then you get in the gestalt, right? You see it from both sides. Any interaction, even like something controversial, the people who yell at each other about abortion rights, or any of these, Israel and Palestine, the most kind of Republican, Democrat, or a presidential contestants, what do you call them? They're arguing to each other, debating. You see any conflict from both sides and see it like they're both right. If you can do that, that's instant enlightenment. If you can look at conflict you're having with somebody from their point of view and see it like they're right. If you can do that, it's a tough thing to do, but if you can do it, if you pull that off. And so yeah, so Schindler's List depicts the Holocaust, the most horrific thing, arguably, ever happened to humanity. But Steven Spielberg is not a bad movie maker. He made the movie. It's a good movie, even though it's depicting horrible things. So if you can look at the horrible thing, if there is one in your life, and not as a horrible thing, but as that Schindler's List won Academy Awards, right? But it's not. The Holocaust is not an academy. You don't give a Holocaust Academy. If you can understand that? So if something horrible is happening in your life, look at it in that way. That as a work of art, in a way that it's not something bad. If you're watching Schindler's List, as a, again, you can look at it in a way, oh my God, look at this movie, like how what message is conveying, instead of in the point of view of the victim who's getting that atrocity perpetrated on them. Do you understand? So, and then you would get the message, I think. If you can see the world this way I'm describing to you, that it's the God wants to experience all of these things for a reason. And the reason isn't cruelty. Even cruelty we want to experience, maybe. But not because we want to experience it, because there's some higher purpose for us to experience it, to know what it is. And then if we see it that way, then maybe we can move beyond it. Then we can be liberated from it, because we're not attached to all of these false misconceptions. We get the message, and we can just sit there and experience what it is. And I think we just experience what it is without muddying the water and thinking of it with all of those things which it really isn't, and see it for what it is. Just that experience it as that experience cruelty, and then to accept, oh, this is what it is. I came here to experience it, and I got it. Now I got it. I got the message. You get the message, messenger will leave.